Good morning, welcome to On the Level Racing Channel. And obviously, this weekend we see the forthcoming Derby on the card at Epsom. But for the first time, we actually see the Oaks on the same card, which is something we'll probably never see again. Obviously, a lot of these trial races coming up for this meeting we have lost due to COVID-19, the lockdown. So some have obviously had a run, got into them. However, a lot of the trials, especially like the Dante Stakes was quite a strong race for this. But if you had the 2,000 guineas to go on, especially obviously the British and the Irish guineas, and I think the Irish guineas is probably the more classical trial for this race, I think, what's coming into this. Firstly, we're going to get straight into the first race on the card. We've got which is the 150, which is the Woodcut EBS Stakes, a conditions race over 6 furlongs. Now the ground's come up here good here, which, just move this around, guys, which there is rain forecast in the morning, Epsom, but I don't think it's enough to get into the ground, which could damper a few of these in the race. Now we're going to go straight and look at this interesting one here, the newcomer in this race, and that is Calcutta Cup for Andrew Balding. Now he's 10-1 in the market. Now it's a very interesting move by the Balding yard, considering he had a declaration today going into Haydock, but he's elected to come here, and I think he would have been better go after Haydock over 6 furlongs on soft ground. However, he's come for the faster ground, which is quite interesting. He's 10-1, owned by is it Miss Fitri Hay, which she's owned some quite good horses in the past. She's over the last year. she's had horses like things like Duke of Hazard, the Casual Man. Just to name a few, she's got some quite. She owns quite Edinburgh Castle. She owns quite some good horses, really. So, it's not a strong renewal, this race. If we go down the card, Carl Burke's horse here, Inhaler. Last time seen that beaten on all weather by 3 parts of a length on slower ground at Newcastle. And prior to that, won a Maynard Pontefract. That came over the Optimum trip, which is 5 furlongs. Just hold on by neck. It was a good enough run. Nothing's really stood out. It's come out in the race. It's really done anything significantly. So, the price reflects 13-2. But obviously, in this race, no price is anything. Horse I put up, Ascot was Modern News, who I was very disappointed with in the Chesham, and didn't really. He was very well held in the final furlong for me, and the Charlie Appleby's horse is going to be very, very hard to step up and probably try and win this race. We'll definitely have to improve off that, but he is a horse that's coming from listed company, so dropping down in class. William Buick takes the ride again. Mark Johnson's horse, Jim Crowley. We know Jim Crowley's in flying form at the moment. Last seen when beating a horse called Elected on the all-weather in a maiden, class 5 maiden over 6 furlongs, and just managed to hold on in that race over Willie Haggis's horse here, they're Elected. Again, a horse that will definitely get the trip. Whether this horse can divert it back on the turf is very interesting, because it'd be a first run on turf. So that's, we can't take that on gospel. So that leaves me with Owen Burroughs' horse here, who I really do like. Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum's horse. Martin Hardy comes in for the ride. Won on course debut when picked up a novice stakes at Windsor, and I thought he actually beat quite a good field there. Was pulling away at the end there. Did it with hands and heels, really, by 3 parts of a length. And I like to think that this horse could have more to offer in this race here. It is a very open race indeed. However, I'm going to go, even though Modern News steps down in class quite considerably here, down to a class 2 from listed company. And obviously it is the form horse in the race, but he would have to bounce back for what he's shown for me. So this would definitely go for me for the Owen Burrows horse in the first race, and that's a Twessol. That's about how you pronounce it, Twessol. Currently 9-4. I think it's got a good good draw store in stall 1. I think a 2-point win there. But 9-4 is a reasonably good bet, I think. Even though Owen Burrows is out of form, he could probably do with a winner right now. Yeah, you can get about 9-4 in most firms, 2-1 around. That would go on Twessol. On to the 225, which is the Surrey Stakes, a listed event. Again, only 6 girder posts, over 7 furlongs. I'd like to be in the camp here of Safe Voyage, purely the fact that John Quinn's horse here is coming the same route as Space Blues did last year. Now, Space Blues has already beaten the selection here by a neck in the Spring Trophy Stakes at Haydock back on the 7th of June last month. That form has been given quite a good frank, I think. A very good form boost with Happy Power, who finished in third that day, has come out and ran a very good second to Lamato in the Criterion Stakes, the Group 3, only last week. So I think that's very, very incredible good form. And it's, for me, it's probably the best form in the race. If the rain does get into the ground, we would have to respect Shine So Bright, purely off the back of this horse loves soft ground and the fact that if you would have to show his City of York Stakes win from last year as a Group 2 win. So no, another horse that's dropping down in class, that was when beating Lawrence left from pit of the post, and it was a very good run. And the fact that Sylvester D'Souza's got a good record in this race, he's won 2 of the last 3 renewals of this race. Valter Kent, I've put up a couple of times now. It's also starting to get very, very frustrating for me. Didn't run up to that scratch behind Happy Power, finishing second last. Didn't get in the race at all. Ground was too quick. If ground is easing, if the rain does get in, he could definitely bring the Ascot Royal Hunt Cup run when he finished in 4th to Dark Vision. But I think it would have to step up again to really win this race. That's Valter Kent. So others in the race, John Gosden he's had 5 runners in this race over the years, and all 5 have lost. Again, he's represented here with Derek, partnered by Jim Crowley. Didn't go a yard in the Buckingham Palace handicap over the 7 furlong trip at Ascot a couple of weeks ago, and has only ever won at Kempton on the all-weather when a beating horse called Chatham House in Novice Company. We've won a couple of them on the all-weather. We've won 3 actually. So he hasn't really diverted that form over onto turf at the moment. Jack's Point, as we know, Jack's Point ran twice at the Ascot meeting, Royal Ascot meeting, finishing second to a very good horse, finished second at 66-1 in the Buckingham Palace, and came out again 4 days later and ran a reasonably good race when finishing mid-table in the Wokingham, a race that I thought Summer Gann should have won, but obviously didn't. So again, he's a horse that has to step up. So as should This Is Us, Richard Hannon's horse. I can't really fancy his horse. This horse would have to literally step up 3 or 4 pounds to really win this kind of race. And I think the market reflects that chance, 13-2. I said last seen in the Paradise Stakes listed event over at Newmarket, and The best win has come over furtherness. I think this horse wants probably a mile, or a very, very stiff mile, to get back into your winning enclosure. So I'm going to go for Safe Journey here, pure the fact that Space Blues obviously won this last year, and he was very close. He was a neck behind Space Blues at Haydock in a very, very good race. At 5-4, should be making his presence felt in this race under Jason Hart. So that'll be a 2-point win on Safe Voyage in the 225 Surrey Stakes. So you can get 6-4 with Bet365. On to the 3 o'clock, which is a very, very large handicap, 16 runners. It's a class 2 over 10 furlong, just for extension of 10 furlong, sorry. And I do like a lot here. A horse called Desert Icon. Haggis' horse is improving at rate of knots, and I was quite taken when he won last time out at Newmarket, when winning a class 2 handicap over this distance on good to firm ground, on quick ground. Smaller field. I mean, there's been some disappointments come out of that race. El Wazir, I think needs further. Dow Horace Girl again needs further. He won by 8.5 lengths. He blitzed them basically, and I can't see why he can't step up again and run a very, very credible race in this. Others I think we have to respect is Caradoc of Ed Walker's. Again, another horse I was quite taken when we went over at Newbury last year, when winning a class 2 handicap on good to firm ground at Newbury, and looked in near the run when in the Churchill Stakes listed event, when finishing 4th to Cross Baton. I mean, that form, as I said, that form has taken quite a bad hit actually. With Kuwait Currency was beaten out of sight by nearly 20 lengths recently last week. But I mean, Caradoc will probably want a lot of cover. Most of his races have been in reasonably smallish fields, so this is quite interesting that they put him in a big handicap here. And I think it has to be respected under Isley Murphy. David O'Meara, stable started quite slow this year. Didn't disappoint, but ran very well here last time out on the 22nd of June, went second over this kind of trip on good ground, and will definitely come on. He looks in need of the run, and I can't see why this horse won't run well again. I mean, it's just changed hands from Dermot Wells' yard, so that was just the first run for O'Meara's yard. So it's quite interesting pickup and good purchase, I think, for Tina Darley. Yeah. There's no one who could be interested here. But Desert Icon, obviously, coming in here with a penalty. I'm just going to check now and make sure any horses that have actually won on this one with a penalty. Yeah, the last 2 winners of this race have come in this race in good form. You've got no one there. William Buick elected to ride Amanda Perrett's horse here, You're Hired. A very interesting runner here. And again, another good winner at Newmarket back on the 14th of June by 14 lengths when beating a horse called Scottish Summit. That was a class 4. This is a big step up in class again. That was like 85. I mean, I haven't looked at what he's coming in off here. For me, 85, 14 length win. He should be coming off here about 95. Should get a £10 penalty or £9 penalty for that. He comes in here off 92, so he's got a place, at least a place weight there to get involved, and he should be in the top 4, I think, at least. You're Hired. Ralph Beckett's horse, Breath Cork, disappointed me last time out. Ironclad again was pulled out of a big race recently. If you're on the ground, Hugo Palmer's horse. It could be an interesting runner actually, Ironclad. His last 2 wins have come on turf at Newmarket and Beverley. Seen back on the 20th of June, when winning a Class 3 over this distance on good ground, and won it very, very well by 3 parts of a length going away under Pat Cosgrave. Obviously, we got Andrea Netzini riding the horse that day yesterday. So again, another horse that could be doing very well from a low draw in stall 2. But I'm going to stick here with Desert Icon here, even though I think Caradoc could be the threat first time out. Desert Icon's got the form, but we have to say, what has he beat? And I mean, prior to that, he didn't really show any much form over these kind of distances. So obviously, what he won last time out at Newmarket was probably weaker than it was, and very winnable. That will be my only concern for Desert Icon, that the fact he's got the penalty, and the fact that he's got to overcome, I think, a better field than he's been up against in his career. Being over a mile and a quarter, I mean, you've got to take on pedigree horses that are going to really, really stay the trip. But Desert Icons by Sea of Stars probably wants more further than a mile and a quarter in time. Yeah, he won by 8 lengths last time. However, like I said, this is a much stronger field, and I'm not really seeing Haggis's horses flying at the moment. He's had a few winners, yes, but I'm not seeing like he's stable like they usually are. So I'm going to have a little go here. Just having a dart, really. I think the fact that Caradoc was pulled out last week of Rod Ascot could be very, very interesting. And a very good booking of Oisin Murphy on the horse. And you know, you've got to take the fact that it was a listed event and it was on the all-weather. He's got good form on the turf. He's had three of his 6 runs last year on the turf over further. He's one of his mile and a half. He had 2 wins over this trip. So he's a consistent type. So I mean he's currently second rate in the market, 6-1. I think at 1 point each way at 6-1 on Caradoc could be very, very interesting here. Purely the fact he missed Ascot due to the weather. That's in the 3 o'clock. Caradoc 1 point each way at 6-1. First Classic. Obviously, I'm finding it very, very hard to oppose Love in this race of O'Brien's. I mean, O'Brien's got a prolific record in this race. He's won like 3 of the last 5 years. And I just think this horse has got a fantastic future. I mean, the way she won the 1,000 guineas. Now, you have to understand, there is a Triple Crown, which we know for colts. But there is also actually a Triple Crown for fillies and mares. This is obviously the 1,000 guineas. This race now, which is the Oaks, and I can't quite remember what the third one is for the fillies, to be honest. But there is another race, I believe, on the calendar that is for the fillies Triple Crown, and I think Love is going to get very, very close here. I mean, she's beaten the likes of Cloak of Spirits, who has disappointed since. I mean, Quadrilateral is a very, very good yardstick indeed, and Under the Stars goes back in 6 as Frank that form. When taking the Eternal Filly Stakes over at Newmarket last week. So the form's there. I mean, she's going to be very, very hard to beat in this. I can't really see anything that's going to take her on. I mean, frankly, Darling, yes, very impressive she was when winning the Riversdale Stakes. When beating here, another horse she will take on in Ennis de Mon. I mean, I thought Ennis de Mon ran really, really well. I put the horse up each way. The penny dropped quite late that day. Ran on, lost by 1 length and 3/4. And I think Ennis de Mon is possibly O'Brien's horse here, second string, but I think a horse that you have to be very, very respectful of, because it will get this drop down in trip is interesting. You can see it's a held up horse as well. There you go. You can't disrespect Ennis de Mon here. Passion's already been beaten by him, a few of these. The thing is I am in 2 boats here between Love and Ennis de Mon. I mean, Ennis de Mon ran, very, very well last time out, but I'm just concerned about the trip. I mean, she's by Galileo, so she'll get the trip in a mile and a half, as is loved by Galileo as well. But I just thought Love has got a lovely temperament, got a good temperament, and she could be very, very hard to beat here. She's short in the market as we expected. I do think I'm going to have to question myself here, but I'm going to go for a 3-point win here, 11-10 on Love in the Investing Oats. I think she's got a little bit of class about her. On to the 4:15, which is another small field. This is the Princess Elizabeth Stakes, Group 3, over just extended mile, so going 8.5 furlongs. Cloak of Spirits goes in this. She's going to have to really bounce back to what she's shown so far on her 2 runs. But she was second behind Love in 1,000 guineas. And I thought she was very, very disappointed in the Coronation Stakes when behind Alpine Star. She drifted terribly in the market. She's 2-1 for this. Why, I don't know. I thought she'd be a little bit bigger. And that's his here. Again, also stepping up here from Ascot. Landed the Sandringham Stakes, fillies handicap, 33-1. Pretty shocked winner, actually. And John Gosden's horse here, Love and Thunder, front in for the ride. Again, she hasn't really been up against anything to say that she can win this kind of race. Won a Class 5 novice stakes at Newbury. And beaten a horse called Coconut of Ed Walker's. And I don't know, it's just I think she'll need a couple of more runs. I think she's by Siorni, so she'll want a bit further in this. The fact that Cloak of Spirits is by Invincible Spirit, I think this trip is a little bit too far for her. I think she's more of a quick 6.5 furlong horse. We'll have to look at the favourite here, Roger Varian's horse here, Furat. Nice filly by Dubai. Both wins have come on the all-weather. Last seen when taking novice stakes over a mile, beaten one by 7 lengths. And again, we're in a situation where we don't know how good that 7 lengths is. The runner-up has come out and been beaten again in auction stakes. The third has come out and also been beaten in the maiden. So, the form's not solidly there to suggest that why she had been put in a favourite here. She's 2-1, 15-8. I think she's worth taking on. A horse I'm going to take them all on here is Charlie Appleby's horse here. And that's Summer Romance. Now, obviously, it's going to be an each-way bet, but obviously first 2 in the market. But it's a 1,000 guineas run, which she finished 8th. And she's making significantly headway over a furlong out. But obviously the race was gone. I think the Guineas is a very strong attribute for this race. And obviously, she's got to find something with Cloak of Spirits, obviously, who finished second to Love in that Guineas. But I can't see why she won't step up. I mean, she's getting a good, winning Buick on board. Obviously she's bred to stay this trip, and she's bred to stay a little bit further in this. So I think Summer Remains could be a very, very interesting bet here. She's a nice filly by Kingman. It's a very open race. I mean, obviously you've got some handicap. He's got some horses stepping up in class here. However, I think Summer Remains could run a big race at the price. I mean, she's around 15-2 with Ladbrokes. I think we could probably squeeze in a half a point each way at 15-2 on this horse, Summer Remains. I think she'll run well. On to the main event, which is the Derby. Sadly, there was a horse who was supposed to run this race. Obviously, O'Brien has obviously fought against it. She will probably go somewhere else. I think someone said she was going to the French Derby, I think, or on Sunday. Whether that's true or not, I know one of O'Brien's horses is going over there. Peaceful, I think. Peaceful. We won the Irish 1000. She won the Irish 2000, I think. Peaceful. He heads off to the big race itself on Sunday. Two I fancy in this race. I'll tell you why purely. First one is Pole Driver. Now, I put Pole Driver as forward as a bet, and it won. Some of you got 33, some of you got 40s on it. When he won at Ascot, when taking the King Edward VII Stakes. Now, you have to be honest. He wasn't stopping. He was on the bridle, came round going right-handed, and he wasn't stopping. Now, the question is, can he do that going left? It's possible, very possible, but that's what you got to worry about. Can he do it going left-handed? I mean, his last two runs, he finished second at Kempton when in the Group 3, which was a classic trial, behind Berlin Tango, who's disappointed since. And Ascot, when obviously winning that race at Ascot. Now, they were both going right-handed. As we know, Newmarket goes right, as we know it as also. So his last 4 runs have come right-handed tracks, and he's won twice on them. So you have to think, will he be able to, come down Tatton Corner and come around left-handed? You just don't know. That is just my concern. Vatican City the same. This is his first trip over from Ireland. Again, just beaten by Siskin in the 2000 Guineas. And if you look at the run again, you could probably take out the fact that Vatican City got going too late. Siskin got first run. Vatican had to come wide, ran 2 or 3 horses. When he got clear, he was staying on powerfully. And I think another half a furlong, he would have caught Siskin. That's what I think. He would have caught Siskin. Back and forth, a horse called Arbery, who's been pulled out from this race. Another horse I actually fancied for a good chance in this derby. But I think Vatican City here has to be respected, especially that the fact he's come from the 2000 Guineas is a very, very strong attribute for this race, especially the Irish. I can't have English King whatsoever. He's come the same route as Anthony Van Dyke, who won this last year. But he beat a reasonably good field, But I just seem to think every field I see with Sound of Cannons in it, I think it's got flaws. I think every form through Sound of Cannons has just got flaws in it, and that tells me that he didn't really beat anything big and significant. And I think he would have to step up, English King, to win this race. Again, Macamico. Took the first classic of the year when winning the 2000 Guineas. And again, I think he's got to step up to win the Derby. I really, really do. And I just think, I'm not saying he won't be there on the premiers, because I think he will. I think if he comes around Tatton Corner good enough and gets to run down the hill and then hit the ground, there's no reason why he won't stay. He's a very powerful finisher in the 2000 Guineas. But I think at the best, this horse will be placed. There's going to be something in this race that's going to come past him. I think Vatican City is that horse that will come past him when needed to. Pole Driver, I'd like to see Pole Driver place, but I just think he's a little bit outclassed here, William Muir's horse. It was no fluke when he won. That's for sure. However, I think he's got to step up here a lot. Another O'Brien horse here, Brian Moore on board, Mogul. All I've been hearing for the last 2-3 weeks is Jason Weaver bragging about this horse quite considerably. Now, he was beaten by Pole Driver in the King Edward VII Stakes, and again we have this horse in here that keeps popping up, Sound of Cannons. I just can't fancy anything with Sound of Cannons in it. So you think about the King of the Stakes has Pole Driver, has Mohican Knights, Heights, Mogul, all in the same race, all being beaten by Pole Driver quite considerably. But I think Mogul could be very strong stayer here. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a big run here from Mogul as well. I have to agree with Jason Weaver. I mean, so I'm gonna go against the grain here. The top two in the market. And I think the two O'Brien horses here I'm going to pick out here. I'm going to leave Pole Driver, guys. Okay, you can back him if you want to. If you think that wasn't a fluke, he's got a good form. It's not to say he won't run a big race, but I think he's just short of winning a classic like this. So I'm going to stick out here Mogul and Vatican City against the field. They will be my two bets, two O'Brien horses. Which one wins? There's another question. I mean, Ryan Moore won this. O'Brien's won in 2 of the last 3 years, but Ryan Moore hasn't won this race until back in 2013. So he's had a 7-year break, and I think he would love to win this again. But I just think he's got two strong jockeys, O'Brien, on his two horses here. He's got Beggy on Vatican City, and he's got Ryan Moore sitting on Mogul. And I think he's got a strong hand here, very much so. As the bets go, I'll probably go for a 1 point each way at 10 to 1 on Vatican City with bet 365. And I'll go with a 1 point win at 5 to 1 with bet 365 on Mogul to win the Derby. I said I've looked over this race 3 or 4 times before I've done this podcast, and I keep going back to Vatican City, but Mogul keeps there every time I check the race, every time I check the stats, what's been achieved. Mogul is definitely up there. Definitely up there. So that's a Derby. Mogul and Vatican City against the field. The final race is the 5:35, which again is a large field, 16 declared, class 3 over 7 furlongs. And believe it or not, I just like one horse in this race, just the one. Just the one. And that is Jim Boyle's horse here. Hataya, or how you pronounce it is Hataya. Now, the reason I like this horse is the fact that if we go back to last year, now he finished behind a horse called Corazon Espinado, who runs in this race again. Now, Hataya had to concede nearly a stone in weight. I mean, in fact, he had conceded 12 pounds to the winner that day, and he got within a short head. Yeah, so that, and back in 4th was a horse called Ali Maratal Uam, who also runs in this race for Stuart Williams. The form leading up to this race, Hataya ran in the listed filly stakes when finishing very poor at second last. Prior to that, I thought he ran a good race at the Newmarket meeting and the Guineas meeting when finishing 4th behind Jack's Point, who came out and run very well at Ascot, which I thought was quite good form. He would have to step up, but I just think Epsom form is very significant for this race. The fact that he's had 2 runs at Epsom and finished twice on both occasions, it's good form. And I think Hataya, what price can you get on him? He's generally 7 to 1 with bet 365, but you can get 11 to 1 with William Hill. I think it's a gift. I think it's an each way gift. So I'm going to 1 point each way here on Hataya, 11 to 1 William Hill for the final race at Epsom, the 5:35. So I'm going to quickly go back over the selections. So the 150. It's a 2-point win on Toisol in the 150, the Woodcote Stakes. In the 225, we're going to have here a 2-point win at 5 to 4, or was it 6 to 4? It's 6 to 4 with bet 365 on Safe Voyage. In the 3 o'clock, which is a Class 2 handicap, I'm going to have a 1 point each way at 6 to 1 on Caradoc. In the 3:40, the First Classic, which is the Investic Oats, 3-point win on Love at 11 to 10. I think she's too classy for this lot. I like to think she is. And then we're going to go in the Prince Elizabeth Stakes, which is a Group 3. That's going to be a 1 point each way. Sorry, half a point. I do apologise. Half a point each way at 15-2 of Ladbrokes on Summer Romance. In the 4:55, the main event, 2 against the field, 1 point each way at 10-1 with Bet365 on Vatican City, and 1 point win at 5-1 on Mogul in the Epsom Derby. That's a 4:55. And the final race on the card, we're 1 point each way with Hataya 11-1 with Bet365. So that marks your card for the Epsom Derby. Hope you're lucky. Be safe. This is On the Level Racing Channel signing out.